Still trying to decide on which business bank account to choose or fed up with the service from your existing provider? The latest business banking survey is out, giving results of interviews with 20,000 business operators and owners like yourself. So let's dive in, see what the results say, and explain why the repeat number one winner might not be the best choice for your own business. Welcome back to the Basics of Business channel, everybody, where Neil and I share our experience of helping hundreds of companies set up in the UK, warts and all. Choosing a business bank account is a key decision for any business. And the latest banking survey, which has interviewed at least 1,200 customers with varying banks that are on the list, and Neil, Monzo has come out number one again. If we just run through the data, looking at it, Monzo has come out number one. What other things did you notice compared to the last time we looked at this?
We've got two new names on the list in the top 10 were Metal, which is the small one offering from NatWest, and Zempler Bank. Both weren't on the list when we last did this in February, and now they are there. So interesting that they've come from nowhere to be in there. And I think, my caveat, that's a posh word, isn't it? My skepticism, or whatever it is, of this survey is, they're asking people what they think of their bank. And so someone who loves Monzo, because it does everything they need, Monzo might be the wrong bank for someone else, because they actually want something else from their bank. Yeah. So, Metal come in suddenly from nowhere at number two, but only one of the directors can have access to the bank account. Now, if that doesn't bother you, I think my bank's great, and 82%, whatever that is, of something, that's great. But if you'd opened a bank account and me and you both wanted access to the bank, we'd be going, well, Metal aren't very good because it doesn't let me do that. And I think, that's why we did the research that we did and is available on the other videos, of trying to make sure that just because your mate loves his bank, are your banking needs and your service requirements and everything else the same as theirs? Because if they're not, that bank might be the wrong one for you.
So in terms of, if we're honest about ourselves, we use Monzo for our one. We like it, but as I say, in terms of key things that it's important for us for mandates, etc., that both of us can access. However, with Monzo, you've got to pay for that. It's one of the paid plans. If you're in a free plan, you're not going to get that. You're not going to get that multiple team. And then there's team access, which then I think is £25 a month, which is on top of that if you want to control spending limits of team members. So this is a helpful, there's no doubt about it, it's a helpful thing adding to it. However, you've still got to do, what are the things for me? Just because we like it, Monzo's number one, you think, oh great, let's use it. We've got 1,200 people like it, we use it, we like it. However, you've got to make it the right requirements for you. Thinking of other things of, if you're looking to take money like overdrafts, I think it's sole traders with Monzo, you can only get £3,000. As a limited company, you only get 5,000. That might be all you need. If you want more than that, you're going to have to look elsewhere apart from Monzo.
Yeah. And sorry, just going back on that, I think, and we touched on this in our main video, is I think the banks have an obligation to be more transparent about who their account is actually for. I mean, it is there, it's on their websites, and they'll tell you it's all there, and we tell you whether you're eligible or not. But, there's plenty of examples where people have opened an account because the ease of opening was the key thing, that I need it done today, so I've got it done. And then a few weeks later, it doesn't actually do this and it doesn't do that, and whatever. And I think the banks, they're all wanting to get their market share, and it's about how many accounts have we opened this month, etc., etc. Whereas actually maybe they could be a bit more helpful and a bit more discerning themselves of, actually, you're not our target audience. Metal's up there. You do go on their website. That's how we know we haven't used them ourselves. They're not part of the survey that we did. I don't know if they existed back then, how new it is for NatWest, but it is there. You can see that only one person can have access. But even though that's there, if you've never run a business, if we were opening our business, is that, we don't necessarily know that that's going to be a problem for us or a limitation for us that's going to frustrate us.
Yeah. And just looking back, so in terms of Monzo comes up top and the rankings are quite similar in certain things, but if we go further down in some of them, so like if you go to the overdraft, so there you go, if you go to the overdraft version, at the bottom, half of them, all the new people aren't even on it because they don't offer loans and overdrafts. As we can see there, like Exemplar excluded, they came up the top. So it's just a key thing on branches is another one in terms of a lot of the new entrants do not have any branch network. Yeah. Again, that might not matter for you. And if we're on it in terms of regular watchers, Neil and I are not the biggest fans of the banks. And even if they do have a branch network, half the time is the people in the bank don't have any autonomy to make any decisions anyway. Therefore, is that even an important thing now? It might be to you just being able to see someone and vent your frustration at someone. However, branches is probably not the factor that it was 10 years ago because they can't decide anything.
Exactly. And go walk down any high street just because there's a branch there today doesn't mean it's going to be there in 6 months' time. So, so that would be another thing. But obviously, the fact that they have any branch network to no branch network to a small one, to, it's all of those things. If that's an important thing for you, then you need to factor that in when you're making the decision.
Yeah, and looking at Exemplar, which is another new entrant there again. There's nothing on the SME overdraft and loan services side.
Well, and Monzo, who were top, they're not on that list, and yet they do offer. I mean, I think it's a relatively new offering for them, so maybe it's not filtered through into the survey. But they're not on the list at all for the overdraft thing, whereas they're top of the list for the general service.
And look at you old Zemper's worth a look. As you drill into it more in terms of like it's UK residents only, they do have a company information service. We've got another video on that in terms of just things to be wary of in terms of if you're forming your company through the banks, whether that's a good idea or not. We'll put the link up. I think we did it for Tide and Anna. Same things apply if you're looking at it from Exemplar's perspective. So this is definitely a useful thing to see in terms of other people like you, how they're experienced dealing with the banks. However, just use it as one piece of information. Do not use it as Monzo are top. Let's go for it. Second down, I didn't get one with Monzo. We'll go second down the list. Metal must be good because they've just arrived in the top thing there. It's a specific offering for a specific type of business. And picking up on that branch point of one of the things you noticed was Monzo, which doesn't have a branch network and no relationship managers. That we don't have one. We've got a paid plan.
Yeah.
They perform better than the banks who have branches.
Yeah, if you go to the relationship account management part of the survey, Handelsbanken come top as they did before, Monzo were second as they were before, but Monzo don't have relationship managers. So, my cynical approach, I think, how bad must the Lloyds, RBS and NatWest and HSBC relationship managers be if Monzo's online support offering beats all of them in the surveys. But again, it worked. For some people, not having a relationship manager, I don't need one. So I think the account management is great. They get a high score. People are working with other banks. If the relationship manager doesn't do exactly what you want, you give them a lower thing. But as I say, you could look at it and say that this is a good example of how AI and bots are better than human beings. I don't actually believe that, but maybe they're better than some bankers.
But it is a good example. And it's
true story. No.
Yeah, and it's in terms of like the people who are in the branches, and there's not a lot they can do. They literally have no autonomy to do anything.
And that actually is what would frustrate you, isn't it? You think, I'm going to go and talk to the bank manager, and then they aren't able to actually solve any issues that you have anyway. Yeah.
So before you make a decision on setting up or moving your bank account, hit the like button, check out our other video where Neil and I go through the various business bank accounts that we've had access to over the last year, learn from our experiences, and as ever, most importantly, we wish you every success with your business journey.